How's it, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Well, NVIDIA's DLSS 3.5 is here, and with it they're bringing ray reconstruction for many different cards, not just the 40 series, but the 30 series as well as the 20. But before we get into that, let's just explain how to actually activate the ray reconstruction. So in the options menu under graphics, you will see DLSS ray reconstruction, and it might be off for you and you can't toggle it on. Well, you have to enable path tracing, which is right at the bottom of all the options. So first activate that. Let's also put on this one here. And then if you go up, you should be able to activate ray reconstructions. So that's for those that just want to know how to activate it. And although I have a 4090, for this test that we're going to be running, I'll be using my 3090. I apologize, that's the smallest card that I have. But even the 3090 struggles with path tracing, so it is a bit of a letdown that you have to use path tracing. NVIDIA has says that they are working on an update to have ray reconstruction work with the normal ray tracing. Can you believe it? We're at the stage at the moment where most people are just hoping that the new tech within NVIDIA's thing works with the normal ray tracing, because that's more frames. But anyway, all those optimizations will come in time, but for now, this is the only way to actually run ray reconstruction. But now you're probably asking yourself, but then what's the point, since most computers can't handle path tracing in any case? I mean, it's very punishing. There is a way that you can use it, and it's all down to this mod, Raytracing Overdrive Optimization. This mod is from the modder E3 Rock. So what this mod is essentially doing is that the vanilla version of path tracing has like 2 rays and 2 bounces or something like that, and this thing just halves it, so as well as adds its own optimization, as well as exchanging NVIDIA's GRIS for RIS. If you don't know what that is, don't worry, you don't need to know. But it gives you many options, so you can have 2 rays and 1 bounce, or 1 ray and 1 bounce, or 2 rays and 1 bounce, RIS and others, so there's many options. What we're going to be testing is the Ultra, the Balanced, as well as the Performance one, which is my suggestion to use the Performance one. Before ray reconstruction, the Performance one degraded the image quality and reflections a little bit too much, but now with ray reconstruction, this has given this mod, or at least this version, the Performance version, a much better option to actually choose, to actually get back your frames and actually make the game playable. So for the tests, we're going to be sticking on the Ray Traced Balanced mode, and then seeing the difference between vanilla, ultra performance of the mod, balanced, as well as performance. And then when we get on to a little bit later on, I'm going to be skipping the balance and the ultra and then just show you the performance versus the vanilla version. Now on the mod page, under post, you will see a performance gain for each of the different cards. This works for AMD as well, but obviously ray reconstruction is not for AMD, so you won't be getting that benefit, which means that you won't probably use the performance version of this mod. But hey, it's up to you. But let's start with the in-game benchmark. So on my 3090, this is the Ray Traced Balanced vanilla, so it doesn't have the mod, and you can see it's at mid-20s, and most of the game runs at 23, 27. Outside is a little bit better, 27, 28, so it's not very stable, and it hardly reaches 30 frames per second. And when it comes to the RT Balanced Modded Ultra, which is the same as vanilla, but it just has some of the mods optimizations, as well as changing GRIS for RIS. And as you can see here, you already see a benefit where it's starting at the 30s, dipping now and again into the 29s, but staying at 30. Most of the game runs at 30, so you can just actually lock the game at 30. When you go outside, it actually goes even to 36, 37. So I would suggest, and this goes for all of the different versions of the mod, to set the game at 30 and play the game at 30. The next one is the RT Balanced, modded for performance. And you can see there it's already going to 39 into 35. But usually it stays around the high 30s to 40s. You can see there it's 40 first. And you'll be hard pressed to actually see the difference when it comes to vanilla as well as this mod, since it's doing the same thing as what the game does, just reducing the number of rays. And outside it's even better at 42, 43. Now we will come to what the differences are with this mod and the vanilla version. But let's just carry on, and let's just go to the end of this run so you can see the full run for the performance mode. As you can see there, right at the end, goes to 44, 45, 42, and there you go. Average is 40. Now for shits and giggles, I also changed the RT from balance to performance and went to the modded performance just to see the level of the quality level and the drop in the quality level, if there is any. And for me, this looks just fine, you know. So if you want to get even more frames, then you can even set it to performance mode in ray tracing and add the modded performance, and everything runs fine. I mean, it goes up to 50 frames per second. So those are the people that actually don't want to play in 30. Guys, there's nothing wrong in playing in 30. What the big problem is the big swings when it goes from 70 to 20 to 30. That's when you have a problem. The next one is, since we're on this train, let's go with RT Ultra Performance and Modded Performance. Now this is not, I don't really recommend this for people with bigger monitors, as you can see with the guy. And when you come to the, if you just have a look at the barman, it's quite fuzzed up and not looking really good. Now this is not just the mod doing it, this is the Ultra Performance from the game itself. Now it's not as obvious in the vanilla version, which we're going to see shortly, but it just makes, especially far off objects and or characters, it just doesn't look nice. Now I'm putting them all side by side, well, at least the RT Performance vanilla, as you guys can read. So the physically smaller your monitor is, then I would suggest it's okay to use the Ultra Performance with the modded performance, since you won't be able to see those fine details because your screen is physically smaller. But if you have anything above, you know, I know, 32 inch, then I think you will be able to see all of those fuzziness when it comes to the characters, and it won't look good. So for me, my suggestion is to use, if you want extra frames, the RT Performance with modded performance. But what I like is the RT Balanced with the modded performance. So when it comes to the reflections, as everyone knows, what Ray Reconstruction does is that it just sharpens up the reflections of the game, as well as many other things, right? It's not just the reflections. But for this one, we're just going to look at the vanilla reflections. And there's one thing that the modded version does that you might need to be aware of. You don't really see it in-game, or you don't really notice it in-game while you're playing. But if you look at this puddle in front of us here, right? So if I go from left to right or up and down, you'll see the reflections with Ray Reconstruction on is very sharp, and it stays sharp. Now, technically it's actually blurring, but very so slightly. I hope YouTube can pick it up. But it's kind of very stable. And when it comes to the modded Ultra, it's kind of the same, but you do see a little bit more blur. And then it quickly goes back to being sharp again once you stop and have the image actually just render a little bit for longer. So the modded Ultra works quite nicely. But the modded Performance, you will see here, this blurs the most. Obviously you get more performance, so you will see more of this blur, and then and it takes longer for the reflection to actually sharpen up again. But it's for me personally, it's not that long. You don't really notice it when you're playing the game. But that's just information that I think you should have. Now the other thing that Ray Reconstruction does is also, it changes the pixels much faster, especially when it comes to colors and stuff. So for this one, we got the RT Balance vanilla, but the Ray Reconstruction is off. And as you can see here, when the panel like kind of changes colors, the ground takes a while to actually change to that color. And if you look at the character over there, you will see there's a big smear happening. So this is with vanilla. So why I'm showing you this is also that sometimes you might think it's the mod or whatever, but actually the problem comes from the vanilla game itself. What's actually happening here is, I think, around the character, when the screen turns purple like now, there or pink, it's actually keeping up with the color change of what it's supposed to be, but the ground is a little bit slower. But this is obviously with the ray reconstruction off, right? But what I'm trying to show you that even in the vanilla, this is where it comes from. As well as with your weapon, you'll see there, if you take it away, it's the same thing as what's happening with the character on screen. It's actually taking on the color of the light panels, which has been shone on it, much quicker than what the ground is actually, the ground is actually trying to catch up. So it might look like the gun and whatever's around the gun is the problem, but it's no, it's everything else. So if we just go into the options and we put ray reconstruction on, it's much faster. So now when the color, when the panels change a certain color, change to blue, the ground changes to blue. It's still not as fast as what it should be, and it's going to get there one day, but it's much better. Less smearing also on the characters, and when it comes to the gun, it's also less noticeable, but it's still noticeable. It depends on the color as well. You see when it comes to this turquoise color, turquoise blue color, you see it much more, but when it comes to purple or yellow, not as much. And the other thing ray reconstruction does is, if you look at the character itself by their feet, the further away they get, the more smeary and blurry the image around that character as well as the legs become. But this isn't a problem for 90% of the game, I would say, since most of the game, if lights do switch on and off or change colors, it changes much slowly, like this one over here, so you don't really see the problem that I've just shown you throughout the game. It's only in very specific areas, like under that bridge, and that's with both ray reconstruction on and ray reconstruction off. Ray reconstruction on, it's obviously much better, but so you don't have to worry too much about this issue. And this is also a good example of those legs, as how blurry that they can be, and they kind of, it's looking like a water painting in motion with ray reconstruction on. Another issue with the ray reconstruction is with the small distant lights. As you can see here, if you strafe left to right, you see it makes these long streaks, which are obviously not supposed to be there. And if we just go into options menu and we just turn ray reconstruction off, you will see it's not that noticeable anymore. It's still kind of there, but it's so small that, you know, like, so there are things that ray reconstruction is actually bringing into the game that's more negative. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is not to be negative. I like ray reconstruction, and I can see where it's going to go. If it's anything close to what DLSS was when it started and where it is now, like, we're in for a good time. But what I'm trying to say is, for those people that don't have a card, even if you use this mod and you don't get enough frames, you know, to at least play in 30 frames per second, don't worry, you're not missing out that much, right? There are still problems, there's still teething problems with the ray reconstruction. So don't feel too bummed out that you can't play with path tracing and ray reconstruction. The people like myself that play with it, we still have our own problems that you don't have. So, like, relax on the FOMO, it's fine. The game looks amazing with ray tracing and without, you know, so enjoy your game. And now for the next one, we're going to do actually a live run through. So we're going to do the shooting first. This is the RT balance with vanilla. And you see there, it's at 27, 26. Usually it sits around 25, 23, depending obviously on the situation. We have an outside section as well, which is at night with raining and a lot of reflections. So, but as you can see here, it's 23, 24. I'm trying to do as much explosions or, you know, things as possible. See there, 25. So yeah, this is kind of what you can expect. And playing it, like, the feel of it is much more jittery than maybe what's shown on screen. It's like hard to actually track your target or feel comfortable with the mouse. So, you know, there we go. So it's 25, 24, which I don't think is acceptable, like, as a way to play this game. 30 is fine, you know. So, and since the mod lets you play above 30 a lot of the time, what you can do is just limit the frame rate to 30, so that you don't go from 30 to 40 or 40 to 30, like up and down, that you can play with a stable 30, and you trust me, you will have a good time. So here we come to the outside section, and it's raining. get these pigs, coppers. And so we just, I guess, waiting. I just killed these guys a little bit too quick, so it's at 27. And let's see, and this is just without fighting. And let's see with the fighting starting again. See, it's dropping again. Okay, here we go. Let's see this. Okay, yeah, so 26, 27. That's with the latest patch as well that just came like a few days ago. So there were improvements. I used to get like 21, 22. And here we go with the RT balanced with modded performance. And you can see there it's at 37, 36, 34, 35. Right? For me, it felt much better playing it this way. And this is like a stress test, right? So you get better performance just walking around the city. I mean, I get about 39, 40. Now, I don't know if I'm going to put it in a knot, since if this is where it goes, you know, 35, 36, then obviously you're going to get better performance by just not showing any, by not shooting and doing any explosions like this. But yeah, see, I think very, very rarely, and it's just usually for a split second it goes to 29. But I don't think I've noticed it in this run. Perhaps I have. I've been talking and then also looking at my great shooting skills. Yeah, now we got to the outside. Remember, it was 27 with the vanilla, and look at it, we're even hitting 40 now. We weren't shooting. Now as we shoot, you know, it goes down to 37, 38. And also with me recording this, you know, you should add also a frame or two, depending on the situation. But yeah, so I think it's well worth it to actually get this mod. You won't see that much of a difference, and it'll make the game playable for you. I even lasted a bit longer. See, this is obviously with the new system, with the cops just getting with bigger and better cops coming in as you get more stars. And there I died. So that comes to the end of this video. So my suggestion would be use RT balanced and use the modded performance version. And remember, I'm playing this game at 4K, right? With my, that's obviously with a 3090, but it's for anyone else that, especially the 20 series, you aren't playing this game in any case at 4K, you know. So imagine the gains that you will get when you play it at 1080p or even 2K, you know, with this mod, of course. And personally, I do think path tracing is the best way to play it. It's not the only way. You're not going to lose out on so much again. But if you want to try path tracing and just want to see if it works for you, then this is a pathway to actually maybe get what you were looking for. Anyway, if you like this video and you want to see more videos like this, please give this video a like. It would be much appreciated. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers. Bye-bye.